Y'all might hear me raspy as well. What is this on my notes? Know what that is, y'all. Don't ask me. I ain't have it last night. That's discoloration. Anyway, so yeah, last night my son was coughing up a storm, but I went to the doctors because I do that for my kids, and this is what I got. Yeah, it doesn't say any information. Gotta make sure because I have lurkers. But yeah, that's what I got. How to treat a cold. And this little piece of paper here. Yeah, basically. So yeah, so that's what happened with that. He does have an ear infection, so she gave him some antibiotics. So we're gonna pick those up. Well, he got tested for COVID. He's asleep now. He just left the doctor's office. Um, he got tested for COVID. He doesn't have COVID. He doesn't have RSV. They tested for both, and both came out negative. So, but like I said, he does have a cold. So yeah, they gave him some antibiotics for his ear infection, and they prescribed him some saline drops. So when something concerns me, honey, I'm gonna go find out about my kids because I don't play by my children. I'm real fickle. But yeah, um, especially the fact that my second to youngest son caught COVID back when COVID was fresh and live and they didn't know that children can get it and all that kind of stuff. So he caught COVID. He had two ear infections. He had but real bad congestion to the point where they had to give him a nebulizer. He had to take that 3 times a day. I took him to the ER. The ER told me to give him some Tylenol and to go home because the ER is dangerous for children. But his fever had been 103 and better for the past 3 4 days. So, and it was 105 when we went in there. They told me to give him Tylenol and to go home because I shouldn't have brought him to the ER, even though he had a high risk fever for 3 days consistently. Yep, they did not give him any antibiotics for his two ear infections. They did not give him anything for his massive congestion. Um, no, they judged me for bringing him to the ER for two ear infections, a high risk fever, and massive congestion. Massive, as they call upper respiratory distress. I got judged. Anyway, so when I took him to his pediatrician the next day because Tylenol wasn't just cutting it, because he just kept crying consistently. I'm talking fuck 10, 12 hours. I'm talking 24 hours. Getting 5 seconds of sleep. Fuck 5 minutes. Okay. 5 seconds of, and then he's back crying. So he was not only sleep deprived, my poor baby was in pain, in unimaginable pain. Because yes, he was under the age of 1. He was like 10.5 months. No, he was 6 months, matter of fact. And yeah, he was just excessive crying, excessively congested, could not sleep, sleep deprived. and they told me to go home. Give him some Tylenol. They gave him Tylenol in the hospital and didn't write him a prescription, said it was something viral. They didn't know and sent me home. So, yeah, being the caring mother that I am, I took him to the pediatrician early that morning because the fever hadn't went down at all with the Tylenol and the Motrin that I was giving him. And they prescribed him immediately antibiotics and said they felt so bad that the hospital that they work with did not fully diagnose him with COVID and gave him the antibiotics for the ear infections and the respiratory nebulizer and the albuterol that he needed, because when I tell you my baby could not breathe, he could not breathe out of his nose or his mouth. He was really bad congestion. And we tried humidifier, we tried um saline drops, we tried uh of course, getting the snot out, sucking it out with the bulb. We tried all that good stuff, and none of that was relieving all of that congestion that he had. He had the nebulizer. He sneezed so much came out. It was thick and it was just gross. It was. This is dry skin, by the way. If anybody's sitting there, "Ooh, you got drool on your face," no, it's dry skin. Anyways, but yes, he was very bad congestion. So I am funny about my kids. Like my children, I will beat you down about. Okay. So yeah, he luckily made it out of there, and he was good because I don't give up on my children. But him. He was sick all night. He was coughing and carrying on, but they said he's fine. He sounds clear. Um, Mom is just being a little overprotective. He hasn't had any fever, so that's why I took him to the pediatrician. Because he hasn't had any kind of fevers. Um, he's just coughing too much for me. I'm just being picky. He's just coughing a little too much for me. Uh, 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 um, yeah, he had the ear infection, so he was a little too cranky for me as well. So I'm glad I got that taken care of. But otherwise than that, he is doing great. I got him checked out. So people going around the schools going around saying, "Oh, because my son Gabriel, he had a cold." And like I said, if anybody knows when something is awry, it's me. Why, boy? He's keeping on mama. If anybody knows if something is awry, it's me because he uh he's like really obsessive with things. Like when he gets sick, he's like he won't eat, he won't drink. He's that type of child. So if he's eating and drinking, it's a good sign. And he was eating and drinking and playing. But the school kept calling me and texting me like, "Hey, we don't like the way Gabriel's looking. He consistently has a runny nose." I said, "Well, it is the first week of school. There's a big old cockroach in here. Hold on, y'all. I hate the South. I'm in my truck. I just hate the South. Yes. Then on top of it, you got Anywho, back to what I was saying. Yeah, so and we don't have any like food or whatever in here. There was one old pizza box that I had got yesterday that was in here. Anywho, back to what I was saying. Yeah, so he was like, you know, just getting to school, and they're like, oh, well, he's been runny nose constantly, and we don't understand. So I took him to the pediatrician. I went ahead and did, what I had to do. Took him to the pediatrician. The pediatrician's like, we can't do nothing for runny nose for a 4-year-old. There's nothing we can do. Say it's his first time being in school. I said, yeah. They're like, there's nothing we can do. It's new germs, new environment. Explain that to the teacher. So I did. I explained that to the teacher. The teacher still was like, I don't like the way he's, breathing. He seems congested. He seems like he has a runny nose. I'm like, okay. You keep mentioning this runny nose. I know of this runny nose. So after 2 or 3 days, that runny nose went away. Now the runny nose lasted for about, I would say, about a week and a half. But he was eating, he was running, he was playing, he was talking, he was, he's just a little congested. New germs, new environment. Anyway, now he doesn't have any runny nose. Woohoo. Uh, it just amazes me because a lot of teachers and principals and things, they try to play like their mom or their nurse. You're not. You do not know what's going on with a child. Now, I usually keep them home, but being that they have this new system where you can't keep a child home for more than 3 days when they have a runny nose or a cold anymore, since COVID was marked as, you know, almost non existent now. Everybody knows that shit is still lurking in the shadows. But anyways, um since then, now you can't keep your child home again for more than 3 days. So I'm like, what do you want me to do? Because the doctor is like, he can go to school. He's fine. And then he just has a cold. And on top of that, I can't keep him home for more than 3 days. So what do you want me to do? What do you suppose I do? Keep him home for 3 days so that way y'all can call the social worker and the social worker could come out and say you can't keep him home for more than 3 days for a cold? These people be ticking me off sometimes. So I went up to the school the other day because my daughter was crying because the kids in the class are picking on her. Now she's all of my kids are very what I call high natured, which means they start getting, you know, I'll see y'all later. I'm being summoned into the house. But make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll tell you about that story in the next one. Bye.